Hey guys, welcome back to prosperandpine. Today it's just me, Jess. I'm going to be doing a get ready with me, a super chill everyday look. I don't really go hard on my face unless I have like a big event or I have like a big review or something like that at school that I have to present. So today is just going to be like a, let's call it a no makeup look, which, let's be honest, it'll probably look like I have a ton of makeup on because I can't do it very well. But that's okay. So my hair is wet because my poor little hair dryer just broke and I can't get it to fix. Maybe my mom can fix it, who knows, we'll see. So yeah, I'm going to be like sharing products with you, but don't come to me like, don't take my advice. Go to the professionals because I don't know what I'm talking about. I watch those YouTube videos just like you do, so I don't know anything about these products. I just use what's best for my skin, as you should. Okay, so first I need to get all of my stuff out, which I should have already done. That's how professional I am. So yeah, if you haven't already seen Ashton's dorm tour video, definitely go check it out because she shares some like really cool tips and she has a lot of products that are like, if you hear the whining, that's my dogs. They want to be in the video really bad. She shares a lot of products that are fairly cheap and have like alternatives to what would look expensive, I guess you could say. So go check her out. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do is tone my face. And I use a witch hazel toner from Target. And I don't really know if it does anything, but I just like the thought of making my skin have a good pH balance. Is that a thing? I don't know. But I wanted to do this get ready with me because I wanted to talk about, I'm going to close the door because they're not going to stop whining. I wanted to talk about something that's been on my mind lately. Probably not a very popular topic and probably not anyone, if you don't want to hear about it, that's fine. Just mute the video. Watch the tutorial or the trial tutorial. Can't even talk. Okay, so harsh Penelope. Okay, so I wanted to talk a little bit about vulnerability, and when this topic came into my head, I had all these ideas, and then of course I didn't write them down and they just fleed very quickly. So then I was trying to revisit this idea later in the week and I couldn't remember what it was that I wanted to talk about because it was something that I had already worked through out in my head and I lost my train of thought and where I was going with it. So as I started to revisit it, I thought, well, this is more about courage. This is more about like finding courage within yourself than it is being vulnerable. But then after thinking about it, I thought, well, they kind of go hand in hand. So I want to tell you a little bit about what I struggle with as far as courage. So growing up, especially in high school, I loved being inside of my own box. And what I mean by that is so when I say box, that's the physical being of my body. That's the physical parameters of my body. So when I'm outside of my box, I'm being loud, I'm flailing my arms, I'm out there, I'm taking up space in the world. And when I'm inside of my box, I am very quiet, I'm very muted, I wear muted colors, I'm very reserved, and just especially super quiet, and I'm not necessarily a quiet person. So that's something that I've always struggled with. I've always either been the one who wanted to be seen but be invisible at the same time, or I wanted to have a safe space to be visible. So, for lack of a better word, I'm going to call it an introverted extrovert, because that's kind of what I am. If you know me and you're in my inner circle, or if that's what we're still calling it, this is not the 2000s anymore, then you know that I'm loud, I make bold statements, I like bright colors, I like being and talking a lot, I like stating how I feel and just planting my feet firm on the ground and being exactly who I am, and having no fear to do that, and also having, what's the right word? No guilt for doing it. And that's something I don't get to do a lot, because there are very few times I actually have ever felt comfortable enough. Of course, around my family, and sometimes there were times I didn't feel I was comfortable enough to do that around my family. And then of course my husband, which thank God I never have to hide from him. I can always be myself and know that that's totally okay. But one thing that I really wanted to harp on, the one thing I really wanted to get across, and this is probably going to be the most jumbled up video that doesn't make any sense. That's okay though. One thing that is important for me to say to you is that this video is not just for you, and I know that sounds hateful, but it's more for the both of us. It's for me to have something to look back on when I'm feeling low and I'm lacking confidence, and then it's for you too to see that somebody else may be going through something that you're going through. So I've learned in my 24 years on this earth, not long, that there are seasons of life. Everybody has seasons. They're unavoidable. A season will never stay. It'll always flee, but there's a new season always coming. So that's positive and negative, I guess. But the one thing that never changes is God's love for who we are, and being born in His image. So one thing I've always struggled with was seasons of my faith. And you know, sometimes there's seasons that I feel like I'm doing it right, I'm on the right path, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and then there are seasons where I just feel like I can't, no matter what I do, I can't get it right. Like I'll run up the hill just to slide right back down at my own fault. And of course those are things that everybody deals with, so again, so you know that you're not alone. It's okay, because God's love will never vary. It'll never change. It'll always be the same. We were made as His children. You have to think about it the way if you had kids, or your mom, or the way that you love your kids. No matter what they do, you're always going to love them. Regardless of your situation, you'll always love them no matter what. And that's how God looks at us. And that's something that I've always struggled with, because I'm a perfectionist, as you saw in the previous video, hopefully. And it's like I beat myself up and I just criticize myself if I'm not doing it perfect all of the time. Like I never allow myself that downtime, and I never give myself grace. So that's the main thing here, is that I'm so bad at giving myself grace. And that's because I'm so fixated on being the perfect version of myself to a fault. So basically, as again you saw in the other videos, I always will do things for other people, but when it comes to doing something for me, I fail, for a lack of a better word. So I will, if I'm in a crowd and that crowd is predominantly chill people, quiet, don't make a big fuss, I will shrink myself down in order to make them more comfortable with me in the room. And that's okay, because I think everybody kind of does that. You know, you kind of read the room, and You never want to be that obnoxious person in the room, but it's not okay when it's like when it's a have to, like you feel like you have to adapt yourself in a room, and that could be obviously a factor of yourself telling yourself you have to do it, or that can be the people in the room putting you back in your box. But I had a conversation the other day with someone in my family, which makes sense, that people kind of categorize traits in other people to understand them. So like crayons in a box, and that's true. I do categorize myself based on the people in the room, or based on the people that I'm around. And I've had it go the other way, where the people in the room have fit me back into a box, and I've also fit myself into a box. And I think the problem in that lies, and what I'm focusing on, is not the other people who you can't change, but yourself. When you are so fixated and focused on being the most adaptable, most easy to get along with person, that you're sacrificing yourself and who you are and what you believe and what you want to say and all these things about you, who you want to be, so much to the point that you forget who you are. And I'm currently in that stage, and I've talked to other people too who said at 24 they were doing the same thing. They were trying to figure out who they were and basically just figuring out how they fit into the world. And I think that's a really common thing. That's something that a lot of people don't really talk about. Like, you'll hear your parents say your 20s is when you figure out who you are, but that's not something that 20-year-olds talk about, because it's struggling, and struggling is considered a weakness for some reason. But I think it's important to think about courage and having courage when you don't have courage. So courage is something I forget that I have. I have it. I'm very lucky. I am fortunate enough to have the trait that if I need to step up and say something, I will. Not necessarily out of comfort. And if I have to do a presentation and I'm just terrified of all these people, I can pull it out of me to do it. I don't know where that comes from, so can't give you any advice there. But I can do it. I can pull it out of myself. And to me, that's having courage, is when your body is telling you not to do something, or you're so terrified out of fear and vulnerability that you push through and do it anyway. So to me, fear and vulnerability go hand in hand, because without vulnerability, I don't have the opportunity to be courageous. To me, that means that if I am not in a place where I feel uncomfortable to do something and end up doing it, and by all means, don't take this literally. If you're not comfortable, chances are you shouldn't do it. I mean this literally only within yourself. So, to me, if I'm not in a place of fear or worry or doubt, then I don't have the opportunity to push through that and be courageous. So I try to see vulnerability as a strength, and I think that's something that a lot of people forget to do. I am clearly not your perfect average size, but that's okay, because I am me. But that is something that I struggle with, and it took a long time to think and figure out. I am exactly how I'm supposed to be. Maybe there's a reason I'm not Twiggy. Maybe there's a reason I'm not bigger. There's always going to be somebody bigger, somebody smaller, somebody smarter, somebody dumber. There's always going to be somebody better or worse than you. No matter what the situation is, besides Jesus, there will always be somebody better or worse than you. There's no getting around that. So when I am struck with the opportunity, we're going to call it opportunity. Shout out if you know the TV show that talks about opportunities and speaking their truth. And what's the other one? Speaking their truth, opportunities, and something else. Eventually you'll find the common thing between all these videos that I keep saying, all these things I keep saying, you'll figure it out. Hopefully coming next week. But anyways, I like to think about the opportunity when I'm in a room of people and I totally just want to hide inside of my box, and I want to hide and I don't want anybody else to see me, but I want to exist. And maybe at times there's something I want to say. If I know the answer, if I have an idea on a topic, then I want to project myself and I want to be out there and I want to be heard and I want them to think that I'm confident and strong and believe in what I'm saying. Then in that times, it's important for me to remember to have courage. And that's something that gets easier with practice, I found. So, I just wanted, I know this video is so like everywhere right now, and that's okay. But I just wanted like this main thing to be like, it's okay to not 100% of the time be confident, because I don't think you're supposed to be. I think being vulnerable brings humility and gives you humility, and I think being humble is a very, very important thing to live in this world and to have. And if you don't, it can be dangerous. So I guess what I'm saying is, the next time that you feel so insecure that you just want to hide inside of your body, look at it from a different perspective, because different perspectives always help. You know, maybe this is the opportunity for you to instead be so fearful that you're just inside of yourself. Maybe this time you say something, or maybe this time you're looking at it from a different point of view and you're seeing other people in the room that kind of feel the way that you do, and maybe it gives you different perspective on them. I don't know where I'm trying to go with this. It was more or less just to say, hey, look, I'm vulnerable too. I think everybody is, but that's just not a topic we talk about. And I think the most important underlying thing here about being vulnerable, about not having courage, about being humble and having humility, is to have grace with yourself, because I struggle with that so deeply. I will forgive anybody for anything, clearly. You're supposed to, but like I will go out of my way to make somebody feel like they're okay, they did not bother me, but I will beat myself up over the dumbest things. And it's just, I look back on it and I'm like, why are you doing this to yourself? There's no point. Like, does this make you a better version of yourself by sitting here beating yourself up, by having anxiety over it, by constantly overthinking about it? And the truth and the reality is, no, it doesn't. It doesn't change anything about who you are or help you become a better person. In fact, you know, God says, cast all your fears and your worries on Him. The reason being is because as a human, yes, your body, your physical attributes, your mental attributes of your body can and will worry. So clearly we are able to, but that doesn't mean you're supposed to. The reason is because you can worry all day, but you're never going to get anywhere. I had a family member one time say that worrying and having anxiety is like sitting in a rocking chair. You're never going to get anywhere. You're just going to sit in that same place worrying about the same thing over and over again. And you know, that helped me a lot when I heard it, because I thought, I do that all the time, about how much I beat myself up, and it's just not worth it. So I'll leave you with one thought. This may or may not be relevant to what I'm talking about. I can't really tell at this point. But I overheard someone one time, and I'm not going to go into specifics, but I'll just say I heard someone give someone a compliment one time. And they said, oh, you look fantastic. You look great. And the backlash and the response back was, I've always looked great. And this was in response after losing weight and, you know, all that good stuff. And for some reason, I could not figure out why that was the response. I always wondered, why did she say that? Is that because she thought that was an insult, or she just didn't think that that was a good compliment, or maybe she was insecure? And I never could wrestle with that. I never could figure out why that was said or why she responded that way. And looking back and wrestling with it for a very long time, I realized and came to the realization that it was more to say thank you. It wasn't an insult. She was saying thank you in her own way, but she was also kind of giving herself grace at the same time, saying, hey, that's okay, thanks for the compliment, but I looked great too before now, you know, and when I weighed a little bit more, or when I had less acne, and you didn't realize it, that's okay, I didn't either, but I just want to put it out there, I looked great then too. And it was like so profound that I'm like mind blown by it, because, you know, like, you don't think about, you're always thinking forward, you're never like looking back, and you look back at your teenage self and you're like, oh my gosh, like I wish I could just hide from those awful memories. But like, you think, like, you have to give yourself grace in the past too. You have to look back and say, hey, you know what, yeah, I was stupid, I was a teenager, I did dumb stuff, but I was a teenager, I didn't know any better, it's okay. Anyways, that's like a lot, and that was very heavy, but I just wanted essentially to say that my main thing is that, like, when you're in a, like, if I was in a room full of people and I was being loud and talking really loud and being taking up a lot of space and all this other stuff, if I don't give myself grace and say, hey, that's okay, you're not bothering anybody, maybe it was a funny thing, maybe it's okay to talk really loud, maybe that's what the environment that you're in, then somebody else in that room is going to say, oh, she's being too loud, she needs to calm down. So if you don't give yourself grace first, then other people won't give you grace. And that is probably not a true statement, but that's a really good reminder, because that'll keep you accountable for giving yourself grace. So if you're in a room full of people, again, and you know, you realize you've been too loud, or you realize that you were, I don't know, maybe your little love handle was showing, or you walked out on the beach and you didn't realize that you could completely see your underwear through your dress, or your, I don't know, your stripes, we'll call them stripes. Then that's, you know, you're always, at that point you're insecure, you're scared, you don't want people to have seen this, and you just feel at the very bottom of the barrel. Then that's the time to give yourself the grace, because that's when you're thinking, I really hope nobody else saw that. But if you change the way you're thinking about it, then it won't come across as that. It'll be like, oh, well, who cares, I have a stretch mark, who cares, you could see my underwear, it's not like I meant to do it, you know, like. And then other people will realize, oh, she's not humiliated, she's not scared, she's actually fine. Okay, whatever, that's not fun to talk about anymore. It's like they lose interest, and I'm obviously casting people in a very negative light and thinking all people are ugly, but that's not my point. My point is just to wrap it up for like a fourth time. Give yourself grace. You're not the only one going through it. And if you're not vulnerable, then you don't have the opportunity to be courageous. So even though I'm not done with my makeup, I'm going to stop my rant. And I hope you guys have a really good day. And yeah, look forward to next week's video, because it's going to be awesome. And you can finally have a resolution on all of these things that I keep saying. And also we have a giveaway going on next week. You can pre-enter now. And it's pretty cool because it is made by us. It is 100% made by us, so with love, so you're getting a personal touch, but you'll love it. So enter into the giveaway. All the details are down below, and we'll see you next time. Bye. Welcome back to Prosperandpine. Today it's just me. I cannot talk.